Today we are here to talk about the brand new Haze eyeshadow palettes from Huda Beauty. I am a huge fan of all the Huda Beauty eyeshadow palettes. I own every single one, and I have no regrets about owning every single one. All of her palettes, including these, blend so beautifully. The colors are amazing. They're vibrant, they're pigmented, they have a lot of richness and depth to it. That's something that I appreciate the most out of her palettes, is they're so versatile and they're very skin tone friendly. So a lot of her palettes, or most of her palettes, work for a vast range of skin tones, which A+ in my book. So today I have all three of the new palettes. There is Purple Haze, Khaki Haze, and Sand Haze. Purple Haze is exactly what it sounds like. It's like a smoky, dusty kind of purple palette. There's a couple pops of plum and pinky plum. The Sand Haze palette is probably the most neutral of the three, but they lean slightly warm. You have a couple taupey, purpley shades, and then again you have that rich, plummy warmth in a couple of the shades. And then there is the khaki shade. This to me screams fall. It's gonna look great on everyone, but honestly, that medium Mediterranean kind of undertone to the skin is really where these greens and darker earthy tones are going to shine. Another thing that's amazing about all her palettes is there's a good mix of shimmers and metallics, but also mattes. So each palette is very comprehensive. All of them have everything you need for many complete eye looks in one place. So for today's look, I wanted to use the Khaki Haze palette because it's giving me all the fall feels, but I wanted to do a pretty simple tutorial, something that looks maybe more complicated than it really is, but that really anyone could recreate. Sometimes I feel like darker eyeshadows or colors can be intimidating. I want to show you guys that they're really not. So first, I'm taking the Sand Haze palette, and this is just so that I can use other palettes, and I'm going in with this matte shade right here. I'm going to take a Sigma wide shader brush E59 just to sweep all over the eyelid so I have an even canvas. You can absolutely do this with setting powder if you want, but I have the palettes, I'm gonna use them. I'm just gonna take that and tap it and lightly blend it out, and I'm gonna take it all the way up to my brow bone. And you absolutely don't need to do any part of this that you don't want to do. So whenever you guys are watching tutorials, just take what you want and leave the rest, you know? So now I'm going into the Khaki Haze palette. Actually, I'm going to start off with this peach shade and pop it into the crease really softly and just blend it out so that we have the beginning of a transition shade. So a transition shade pretty much is just a slightly deeper than skin tone shade. This is going to help soften up your look, and it's also going to, in my opinion, add a little bit more finesse to your look. And I like to really start with lighter colors and slowly build up the color because it's easy to add things and it's very difficult to erase things in makeup besides like lip colors. And even sometimes that can be a little tricky. So just take your time, and with the eyes, you want to be very light-handed. I'm using the very end of the brush and barely putting any pressure on because your eye skin and lips are the thinnest skin on your body, and that's why you show signs of aging there first. And I don't want that. Now I'm gonna go in and I'm taking this brown shade with a diffused crease brush from Sigma, the E38, and I'm gonna add that to the crease kind of right over where I just applied product. And I like to take all of my eyeshadows really close to the brow right here. I just like the way that looks on my eye shape, but it's totally up to you. I think the more you play around with makeup, the more you'll be able to tell what you like. Another thing when you're applying eyeshadows like crease colors, I actually really like to keep my eyes open as I'm blending, just so I can see the symmetry between the two eyes. My eyes are different shapes. One is really hooded, one is not so hooded. So I sometimes have to tweak, actually usually have to wear my makeup slightly differently on the non-hooded eye versus the hooded eye to make sure they look even. So I just like to keep my eye open while I'm blending to really see where the color is going. And on the edges, I'm just slightly bringing it out past where my eye stops so that I can get a little bit of elongation, but I'm not like really swooping it out. Because again, I want this to be like a simple look that looks like we made more effort than we did. So I'm going to go in with a Sigma E25 blending brush, and I'm going in with this brick red shade now. And I'm focusing on the outer part of the lid. And we literally just want a hint because these looks can get real out of hand real quick, okay? Which, if that's what happens and you're happy, do it, rock it. But today I just wanted something a little more wearable because I feel like sometimes when people see bright colors or dark colors, they think it's not something that they can wear every day. Okay, so now I'm taking this Morphe M562 brush with that matte olive shade in the center, but I'm just taking this and focusing right over where I put that brick red shade because we're just building up a little bit more depth just on the outer like quarter, and then on the top in my crease, I'm blending that about halfway into my lid. So I'm just slowly building and blending, building and blending. That, my friends, is the name of the game. So I'm just going back in with my E25 brush and I'm going into the brick red shade, just one little dot, and I'm just blending over and more around the edges of the matte green just to make sure that everything is really well blended. And now for the part that I'm the most excited about. I'm going to go in with that olive green shade and I'm taking my ring finger and just pressing it onto my lid. Look how pretty. I like to drag metallic colors down on the lid vertically because I feel like it almost drags the pigment and makes it look a little more emphasized. But very light hands, and you want to use your ring finger because that's going to be the gentlest finger. And I'm leaving the outer quarter of my eye just without the shimmer shade because I want that to be a little bit more matte and intense. Look how pretty that color is. It's like this bronzy, olivey shade. It's so gorgeous. And like instantly, with one shade, your whole look is just amped up. Okay, so I want to build up the crease a tiny bit. So I'm going back into the terracotta brown, and I'm going to just get the outer edge of the lid, just to make sure that the green is really blended out and it doesn't look like a severe line. And then I'm gonna go in with the tiny little Morphe brush on the matte green, and I'm going to place this right on that outer quarter. And I'm not gonna do a lot of blending out of this because I'm gonna take the brick red shade and I'm going to blend with that one. So I'm taking my E25 from Sigma, going in with the brick shade, and just laying that right over the green, and then blending. And with the shimmery shades, you absolutely can go in with a primer underneath or a like glue base underneath, and it'll definitely amp up the shimmery shades. But I'm just going in with another coat over the olive green, and I'm just really lightly intensifying it now. And with my finger, I'm just blending out the very top edge. So now on the lower lash line, I'm going in with the brown and the brick red, and I'm just going to smoke out the lower lash line with both colors. So I'm taking the Zoeva brush first with the brown, and I like my lower lash line to be like very smoky. And not dark smoky, but just with browns. I really love to drag that down. And I'm just kind of bringing that and blending it into the lid color a little bit on the very edge. And now I'm going in with the Sigma E25 into the brick shade, and I'm focusing the color starting out at the outer corner of my lower lash line, and then I'm just gonna blend it in. For my inner corner and brow bone highlight, I want to just add a slight hint of brightness, but none of the lighter shades in any of the Haze palettes aren't glittery, and I don't want something glittery. So I'm just going in with the highlighter I used today, which is the Ilia Decades Daylight Highlighting Powder. I think glittery inner corner highlights look so stunning, but with this eye look, I really want the olive green to be the star of the show. So I'm taking this Morphe M321 brush and just taking a tiny bit and popping that into the inner corner. And then just at the very arch of my brow, I'm gonna add a little bit of this also. And then I'm dragging that out to meet my highlight. I'm gonna take this gold glittery color. I'm just gonna pop that onto the very center of both lids just to add a little brightness, a little oomph. This would actually be a really pretty like eye look or palette for holidays too, if anyone is doing anything or going outside for the holidays this year. So I'm gonna add a little bit of eyeliner, and I'm gonna use the Huda Beauty Lifeliner because let's keep it with the theme, but I'm going to smudge out my liner. And I'm gonna use this dark, like woody color and just smoke over the black liner. So I'm going in with a really close to the lash line, rough line. And whenever I'm doing eyeliner, I like to start really close to the lash line unless I know I want a really thick line, because as you smudge it out, it does kind of increase the thickness of the liner. And I never bring it all the way into the corner because I'm going to smudge it into the corner with the brush. So I'm doing one eye at a time so that the liner doesn't set on one eye when I'm doing the other eye. So I'm going to go in with this Real Techniques. It's a lip brush actually, which they work fine, but I'm just gonna smudge that line out now. And I want most of the thickness on the outer corner, and I am gonna wing it out slightly. And for the wing, actually, I'm just gonna take the liner right onto the brush and smudge and create my wing. And smudging out your eyeliner seems really tedious, but I promise you, it is the easiest way to create eyeliner and wings in my opinion, because that pressure of getting super precise lines is a little bit less, and I feel like it's a softer way to wear a bolder liner because it's diffused on the edges. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. That is the liner. I ended up going over and adding a little more liner, especially on the outer corners, and thickening it up. So now I'm going in with the Khaki Haze palette, and I'm taking a Morphe M408, which is just a rounded smudge brush, and I'm going into that dark brown, taking a very small amount on the brush at a time, and I'm going to stamp it on over the liner first and then smudge it out. So now that I've stamped the shadow on top, I'm just taking the same brush and I'm gonna gently just blend right over that. So that's the difference between a smoked outliner and a non-smoked outliner. I feel like it just looks more sultry and smoky, and like you just put in so much more effort, and it's really simple to achieve, I feel. And I'm focusing most of the smudging like right above where I've placed the liner, just so that the top edge of the liner looks a little more diffused. And then I'm gonna take a flat brush. This is the Sigma Concealer F70 brush, and I'm just going back in with that olive green shade just to intensify it a little. And then back in with my ring finger into the gold shade and just hitting the center again. Because in some of the smoking out of the eyeliner, some of the glitter kind of fell away. So I just want to make sure that still looks punchy and intense. Okay, and now I'm gonna go put mascara on and I'll be right back. Mascara is on, lip is on, and that completes the look. I will leave everything on my face linked down below in the info box for you guys, but I wanna wrap this video up by saying I think that these palettes are worth it. I think any Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette is worth it, so if you don't own any and these don't appeal to you, find one that does, but I highly recommend her eyeshadow palettes. But these palettes are the newest additions to the Huda Beauty family, and they are totally worth it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial / review. Leave a comment down below for me and let me know what videos you guys want to see from me, and I can get on those suggestions ASAP. But until my next video, thank you guys as always so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you soon. Bye!